In this section, we shall be talking about analyzing CloudTrail logs with Amazon Athena. Analyzing CloudTrail logs with Amazon Athena. For us to do that, we're going to create a CloudTrail to pick up some logs from the generic CloudTrail and then pipe that into Athena for further analysis. So to do that, the first thing we need to do is to create a CloudTrail. So for us to create a CloudTrail, we're going to click on Create a Trail. And when we click on Create Trail, it gives us the form where we need to fill in some information about the trail we are going to create. So the first option here is the name of the trail, which is trail name. So I'm going to put general trail as the name of the trail. And then it's asking me, are we going to enable all accounts in my organization? I'm not going to enable it for all the accounts, just this account. The next thing is the S3 bucket, where the trail logs will be going into. That's the data of the logs. Now we have two options. We can create a new bucket or we can use an existing bucket. For this scenario, let's create a new bucket. And S3 has a rule that whatever bucket name you are creating, it must not already be existing. If not, it's not going to allow you to create it. So we've thought of a unique name to use here, which is Athena CloudTrail logbook. Let's hope that this is not already in use. So the next thing is encryption of the data. We enable the encryption. You can actually disable it too, doesn't matter. Encryption is good to keep the data secure. So here it's asking us for the encryption key. We can pick an existing encryption key from here. There's actually none, but let's leave it to create an encryption key. Let's call it CloudTrail encryption. Okay, like I said, it's optional. You can disable it if you don't want to, or you can just enable it. Okay, so let's enable it here. CloudTrail KMS, key management service. That's the meaning of KMS. It's a service in AWS for encryption of data. So log file validation, this will validate the logs, and SNS notification delivery. And then we also have CloudWatch logs. So you can configure CloudWatch logs to monitor your CloudTrail and notify when specific activity occurs. Okay, so we really don't want to use CloudWatch at this time, so we're going to disable that. And then we can give it a tag just to label it and name it properly, but we don't want to do that. It's actually optional. And when we are done with this form, the next thing is we click on next button. So it's going to ask us what kind of information do we want to pick from the log events. There are various kinds of information, and it's been categorized into three. Okay, management events, data events, and insights. Okay, management events, data events, and insights. We can actually tick them all, but we don't want to. That's going to be a lot of logs. Okay, so let's tick something a bit more specific and focus more on management events. So under management events, it says captures management operations performed on your AWS resources. Okay, so the next thing is under management events, choose the activities you want to log. Do you want to log write operations or read operations? So let's just pick both read and write operations. When we're done, we click on next, and here we are to review everything we just configured: the name of the trail, the trail location where the logs will stay in S3, the KMS key. We did not activate SNS notification delivery, and it's multi-region, and that's all. So when we are done, we click on Create Trail. We're going to take a couple of... Okay, he said you already own this bucket, so we already have this bucket created, so we might need to change the bucket name. Let's just add something to it. CloudTrail logs. Okay, let's add an S just to differentiate it. So let's go next, next, and we click on Create Trail. Okay, so the trail has been successfully created. So the next stage here for us is to actually create the Athena table that will query this trail data that has been written into S3. So for us to do that, we are going to go to the side menu, which is here, and go to Event History. So Event History is more or less the source of everywhere we are pulling this CloudTrail log. So what the CloudTrail is doing is more or less is picking some information from the event history. Event history contains everything that is in this AWS account, every single activity. So what we need to do is from here, this is where we create the Athena table. So we can see the option at the top right corner here, and we'll click on it. It's going to ask us the next question on where is the storage location for this S3. Okay, so we are going to pick the CloudTrail we already created before. You can see it's the same name here, Athena CloudTrail logs book, which is the bucket we created in CloudTrail. So the CloudTrail we created is going to be writing data into this bucket. So Athena is going to be reading from this bucket. Athena is a serverless tool that helps you to query any kind of data in almost any format, from JSON to Packt to ORC to CSV. So Athena can query almost any kind of semi-structured data format. So it has also generated the SQL query for us by default, which contains almost every single column within this CloudTrail logs. So if you scroll down, we can see the query, and it's also going to create a table which looks a lot like the name of the S3 bucket, storage location. So when we are done validating this, we click on create table. So it's going to create a table for us, and from there we can query that information. So the next thing for us here is to go straight into Athena. So good enough, there's a link here that will take us straight into the Athena service with that table. So I'm going to create this. It said to view this table and run a query, open the Athena console, Amazon Athena console. Athena charges for running query. So yeah, if you run a query in Athena, you're going to be charged some amount of money. So let's quickly click on this, and it takes us straight to the Athena table. The other way to get into Athena is to actually come to services and navigate into Athena. Look for Athena here. It's part of the analytics services. Yeah, that's it there. So when we click on this, we'll also land in Athena. So query data in S3 using SQL. So now we are here in Athena. Let's go to the table that we just created. Oh, bummer. The table is actually not here. Okay. So we're going to switch from sample database to the default database. And here we can find the table we created. So by default, it doesn't really go to that table. You just need to switch over to another database. So here's the table we created, and we can quickly run a very basic query to see the data within the table. Okay, it said no output location provided, an output is required for this. So let's configure an output. Okay, there's no output right now. So let's quickly configure an output. So the error here is stating that for you to run queries on Athena, Athena requires a table where it's going to write the output data into. So that's why it's asking for an output table. So I'm going to use the region. Okay, query results bucket. Let's see, Athena query results. I'm going to add something a bit unique. Athena query results bucket and all this. Okay, I'm going to save this. Let's run the query again. Okay, I'm able to verify or create output like this. Okay, let's try and create this bucket manually so we can use what we created in this place. So for us to create a bucket, we'll go straight to S3 in a new tab. I'll just create a bucket for this, and then come back and use that bucket name. So let's see if we can use the same name. So click on create bucket. We'll put the bucket name, and we'll click on create bucket. Okay, so the bucket name already exists. Okay, so we need to think of something. So let's say CloudTrail Athena results. click on create bucket. So we have to think of a name that is a bit unique. So let's try CloudTrail Athena query results book. Click on create bucket. Okay, I think we got that. So we're going to copy this name and use it for the output results over here. I think we missed something. That's book. Okay, save it, and then we run the query again. Let's try and run the query again. Okay, seems like it's run. Yay, we have our results here. So we are able to run queries on the data written by CloudTrail into S3 buckets. So let's run a basic query and see what information, what interesting information we can get. Okay, this is taken from the book, and paste it here, and I'll run the query. Okay, so sorry, I'm using the wrong table name. The table name is different now, so we're going to use the table name, the proper table name. Copy this and update it here with that table name, paste it, and we paste it here. So that's the error. It's saying table blah 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 does not exist. So we need to use the right table name, because the table name is pretty different, because we created another table different from what we had before. So that's why it's asking for that. So when that is done, we run the query, and we see a bunch of results here showing us the activities of list buckets. So did we perform any list buckets? Yes, we did. So these are the list bucket operations that we performed. This is the user agent that was used, the region it was done on, the IP address where it came from, and the date and time it came from. So this is how we can actually query data from CloudTrail using Athena. We just use an example using list buckets. There are many other events that you can actually query to get information, analytics, and deep insights into the activities to monitor what is going on within your AWS account. One interesting example I'll suggest you try is your AWS sign-in with the root user. It's a way for you to know when or if anyone with the root user account signed in at any point in time to perform any activities. Thank you very much. In this demonstration, I'll be talking about how we can configure monitoring for AWS Glue. AWS Glue is an ETL service used for data engineers and data scientists too. So we'll be looking at how to create a job and also monitor the job for activities that go on within that job. So the first thing we need to do here is to navigate over into AWS Glue. We can do that here from the AWS Management Console, or we can go through the services layer. So if you go through services here, we'll see AWS Glue. Click on AWS Glue. So right here in AWS Glue, we can see different functionalities here, databases, tables, but our focus is going to be on jobs. So we go to jobs, and then we click on add a job. So we'll click on add job. We're presented with this form where we need to fill it to be able to create and configure our AWS Glue job. So the first step here is to give our job a name, and the name of our job is going to be CloudTrail Glue, and then we'll select an IAM role which we already created before now, which gives us access, AWS Glue full access. That's the name of the role. And then we come down here and configure the monitoring options. So what are we monitoring? We want to monitor the job metrics. We also want to do some continuous logging based on every activity that happens within this Glue job. So when we're done with that, we click the next button here to navigate to the next window. So here we are where we should choose the data source where we want to retrieve the data for ETL purposes. This is more or less the extraction area, and we can find a data source here which is already showing here. Now this data source is based on the previous tutorial where we created an Athena table based on the logs coming out of CloudTrail, and that Athena table was created from CloudTrail into Athena, and it automatically created a table and a database for us within Glue. So that's where we're picking our data source from automatically. That's why we have it here. So we just click on this option of that, and we can see here it's showing classification is a CloudTrail and the location in Amazon S3. And then we click on next, and then after that we also to change to choose the type of transformation we want to perform, because it's an ETL process, so extraction, transformation, and loading. So this is the transformation step. It's asking us if we want to change the schema or we want to find matching records. Change schema is already here by default, and find matching records is already disabled. So let's click on change schema, and then we click on next. So the next is going to ask us is what is the target. So this is more or less the loading step. So do we want to write into the same location, or we want to create a fresh table in our target? So we'll go to create table in our target, and in this creation of table we shall call our data store, which is more or less our target where we're going to write data. We use Amazon S3, and we're going to type the name of the bucket where we want to write the output data into. So our target location here is going to be S3 column CloudTrail Glue output. So that's the output bucket where the transform data is going to be written into. So we created a new transformation location, and when we are done with that, we click next. If we don't want to write the name, we can always browse through the S3 buckets that we have existing by clicking on this. So we click on next, and then it shows us the transformation. So if we have any form of transformation we want to do here, want to edit any data, change the data type here, and give it another name and anything, we want to do this where we can do that, but we're not going to touch anything here because we're just trying to demonstrate how to monitor metrics on the job. So when we are done, after review, we click on save job and edit script. So this automatically creates our Glue job with our Python script that is going to perform the transformation process. So anytime we perform any run on this, all the metrics will show over there. So we can just try run a job and see what happens. Okay, so this is the first page for continuous logging that we activated, and you can see it's already giving us information about the job we just ran. It said driver logs, and it's saying it's pending an execution on this day and on this time. And then if we go to logs, we can see it's also showing us pending execution. So when the execution is done, it's going to give us some detailed information about this job that we just ran to tell us if the job was successful, if it failed, if there are any errors on it. It's also going to show us right here. Okay, waited for a couple of minutes, and we can also find some more information when we close this and we go back to the jobs page. We can see the job we just created. So when I click on this job, we're going to see that on the history, the last job we ran was successful. You can see executed, run status, it was actually succeeded, and the output and the logs. Okay, if you click on logs, you get more information about that from CloudWatch to see the activities of what happened during the running of that job. Let's go back to Glue, and there are more interesting metrics here. Under metrics, we can see some basic metrics of this particular Glue job, the ETL data movement, the memory profile, and if we want to get more information, we can click on view additional metrics. Let's go back to CloudWatch. Okay, no information is showing here at the moment. So yeah, so this is the detailed job metrics. We can see other interesting metrics. We can see the CPU load, data shuffle across executions, job execution, active completed stages, and maximum executions. So this is how you are able to monitor your AWS Glue job and the ETL job in AWS Glue to know what is happening per time and to know the activities and be able to act on it based on the metrics that you get. Thank you.